Hi, this is DJ Binliner for Protutorialz, and today I'm going to show you how to do dubstep mastering. So to start with, let's have a listen to a unmastered dubstep track, so a track that isn't totally finished yet. I'm using Ableton Live, but of course you could equally be using Logic, GarageBand, Rebirth, or whatever. So anyway, let's have a listen. Okay, so it's sounding pretty banging, but it's really not fat enough just yet. What it needs is some compression, some stereo widening, some EQ tweaking, and lots of compression. So first off, let's add some stereo widening. And just for an example, I'm going to put some on this sweepy little bit just here. So that sounds pretty weak, mostly because it's a mono sample. So let's add a plugin that makes it stereo. And this one's called Stereo Touch. It's a good one, but there's plenty of other ones that are just as good. And the important thing is not to overdo it. Keep it pretty subtle. Alright, let's see what it sounds like. Alright, so that's sounding a lot better. Next up, we're going to EQ part of the track. Obviously, you can pretty much EQ whatever you want to, but in this case, I think the snare sounds a little bit weak, and I want to EQ the snare, so I'm soloing the kit. And this plugin is one of the better EQ plugins you can get at the moment. By the way, all the plugins I use are pretty easy to find, and you can buy them all online really easily, especially if you're a mega rich dubstep superstar like myself. With an EQ like this, you just want to add as many dots as you can, basically. Every dot kind of adds a little bit of flavor to the snare, so you can't really overdo it with the dots. Alright, next up we're going to start adding some compression, and basically we want to add compression to every one of these channels and the master channel as well, and it's a really good idea to use a different compressor for each channel. And this is a good one for the drums. A good rule of thumb is to judge a compressor by the graphics. So pretty much the better the graphics, the better it's going to sound. You can see this one looks really cool. It's pretty much making the track sound better already, and we haven't turned it on yet. Alright, next up we're going to put a compressor on the bass, the main bass. So let's drag that one over. Turn that off while we're there. Alright, and if you don't really know your way around compressors, a bit of a shortcut is just to judge the knobs by the description. So impetus, obviously that's going to be good. Attack, obviously you want that up. Turn that one on as well. Oh, turn that up to 20. Is that on? Anyway. We'll drag this one over to the sub level. This one's a multi-band compressor, so that basically just means it's even better than a normal compressor. So you can't go wrong with that. Turn it just pretty much wherever you put the knobs, it's going to sound awesome. This is a good one for the break channel. Obviously, turn the punch up, turn the attack up. You can mess around a little bit with that. Normally, obviously, you'd be spending a lot more time on each one. You'd be listening to all the little changes. So this is just a tutorial, so we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit. It's not like real life. And this one doesn't have very many knobs, but that's okay. It's just a tutorial. Finally, we want to put a compressor on the master channel, and this is one of my favorite compressors for the master channel. Again, looks really cool. You don't want to overdo it too much with the makeup unless you're into that kind of thing. Keep the knees nice and hard. It's a good rule for dubstep, especially. It's none of this soft knee kind of crap. Keep the knees really hard. Turn the ratio and threshold down a little bit. Obviously turn the attack up. Doesn't hurt to mess around with some of this stuff as well. Alright, so I reckon that's probably going to be sounding really great by now, but just to make extra certain, you can use the duplicate function to add a couple more compressors here. And the final stage pretty much always is going to be adding a limiter to the end of the master channel. And this is a nice limiter. Again, you don't want to be doing anything that says soft, so turn that off soft, put that onto say clip, and you can turn on some of these little things as well, just adding a little bit of flavor basically. Alright, so I reckon that's ready to go now. That's how you master a dubstep track. Now it's a good time to see what it sounds like. Let's have a listen. So, as you can hear, it's sounding much more professional now. I'm DJ Binliner, and I'll see you at the next tutorial.